Alright, returning once more. And in the wake of that series, V3 Esports looked to be honestly, a very well composed team. And not only just a composed team, but bouncing back from the game one, and then immediately saying, "Alright, we are going to play clean." Reina had an outstanding performance. Some things that starts to tell me about the games going forward is do not put Reina on Yumi duty. And perhaps DFM will read that out and avoid the Yumi ban this game. But in a game like that where Reina is having this all-star performance on Thresh, DFM now have another ban to think about as they go forward here with Reina just having an outstanding performance throughout that game. But DFM need to kind of think these drafts through a little bit more. You had a good comp in game one and it netted you the win because it did everything that the comp was supposed to. All the pieces sort of fall in line very well. In this one, everything feels a little bit disconnected. Vladimir kind of wants to brawl and be able to, be in the middle of a lot of the fight. Trundle can somewhat do that, but he also has to worry about being a frontline body for this Syndra and this Varus, and the Karma even, who Varus and Karma are trying to throw pokes out, and when Seros on the Syndra is sort of trying to play to that style and lend himself towards playing like the Varus, it's not as effective as getting his poke off, has to kind of put himself at risk too often, and multiple times in the gap in between where Varus is able to throw arrows from and where Syndra needs to be, and where Vlad needs to be to use their spells, the Rumble ulti puts a divide right through that. Reina is dragging those members into their team, and V3 are sweeping those fights. You can see here just the amount of damage that was dealt. Of course, Varus dealing huge amounts of damage in that through a sheer amount of poke, and Evi, who is trying so desperately to get in there, also has a decent chunk of damage to his name. But so much of it just did not feel as meaningful to the side of DFM. You can see DFM already adjusted 2 of their bans to the comp of V3 from the last game. You banned away Zoe, which felt a little bit interesting, in all honesty, is if you're going to let yourself into the Varus and then ban away the Zoe, sure, V3 can go down the path of maybe an Ezreal Zoe poke comp, but when they ban away the Zoe, they almost remove their own options to have a poke comp, and you didn't want to run back the Xerath on the mid lane, which you did get a win off of. If you thought it was the mid lane that was, the mid lane Xerath that was a problem, why take away his better counter pick? A little bit of interesting decision making, but from the position that they were in on the red side, perhaps was an understandable call. For the side of V3, the bans that they had sort of are continuing to work here. Comfortable enough playing into an Ornn, comfortable enough playing on the Ornn. V3 sees no reason to ban it, which means their top side is somewhat untouchable. The priority is still going over to this Graves, which did have a lot larger of an impact in this game, and definitely a much more vibrant impact on this kind of a game. More damage, was soloing off Syndra multiple times through that fight, and when you enter into those kinds of scenarios where Graves is getting alone time with just 1 or 2 carries off to the side of the fight, can blow one of them completely out, it spells a lot of success for the side of V3 Esports. And if you're DFM, how do you control these scenarios? How do you control V3 Esports, who in that series had complete control of the pacing of the fight? V3 Esports really had the driver's seat and controlled it the whole way through. So perhaps DFM need to play a little bit of a comp where they can control the pacing a little bit more. They're banning away the Heimerdinger, sure, but are there other options that you can use to controlling the pace of the match? Aphelios still an option available to you. You have the turrets available that you can use to control pacing of the fight. You can draft things like an Azir to control pacing, any deterrent, or do you need to take a comp like the side of V3 Esports did, where you need to be the ones engaging? Do we need to see Aatrox coming into the picture? Do we need to see hard engages coming out from the bot lane, possibly a Nautilus? Or if you get the Ornn in your hands, having things that can follow up on it. Sylas, we had seen get great priority towards the later end of this split and during the early rounds of playoffs. Do we need to see them enter into sort of a brawly atmosphere? Whatever it is, DFM needs to decide and run with if they want to have a chance going forward in this series. Now, that isn't, of course, to say that V3 Esports has nothing that they can improve upon. There were still some shaky objective fights, still some sort of off periods during those, especially those early Rift Heralds, where while they did have the great macro play off of the second one, I almost want to see them value the first one a little bit less. As they got it, they sent it top, and they cashed in on it immediately, sure, but does DFM, if they didn't draft into a Vladimir in the top lane, something that was that exploitable, that play can go very wrong, and we did see it go wrong in the first game. So, V3 Esports found the comp to fit the play style that they want. DFM, however, now needs to either do the same or change their play style. One of the two needs to give, as they just have this little bit of disconnect that's not exactly coming together for them. Now, it is 1-1. I do somewhat talk about it like DFM lost the first game. They did end up coming out on top, but it was not clean. It was a 50-minute slog where both sides were just this tug of war throughout the game. So in moments like that, it doesn't even feel entirely like a win. It feels riskier. It feels like you walk the razor's edge just a little bit too closely for my liking. Well, we do have a brief moment here. I just do want to once again say, anyone who is interested or enjoying the content, I do appreciate you guys showing up here. You can go ahead and drop a follow if you like. I will be back again tomorrow to cast the finals, as well as all of these will be uploaded to my YouTube. So if you look down below, my Twitter will be there. I'll tweet that out for you guys, so you guys can see when all of these are uploaded, have them to review in case any of you guys are looking to really dive into the LJL scene and relive some of these matches. I will be, or if, hey, I understand it's about 4 AM where I'm at here. It's late. You guys probably want to go to bed, so if you do, we'll be on my YouTube so you guys can catch up on all the action. I'll work on getting these up as soon as humanly possible, but for now, we'll get into the draft here of V3 versus DFM. V3 taking the red side for this one. Heimerdinger, first ban thrown down, keeping Saros away from that option entirely. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? DFM much to the same, are banning the Elise, their common ban for the first half. V3 Esports probably content to just repeat the ban process over again. Ban the set, ban the Renekton, keep DFM off of it. You don't know if they're going to have success on it, but why even risk it? Graves, banned away from DFM, so they're making the adjustment there. On the side of V3 Esports, where is your like we said, we don't need to make any adjustments in the bans, but now the picks are going to be in contention. DFM spent a lot of the first game banning away a lot of early game junglers, still giving a decent amount of attention to jungle, so Boogie's champion pool will be stressed in this game. Last ban for DFM. Possibly can be given over to the Thresh if they want to deny Reyna from the performance he had in that last game. Definitely was feeling himself throughout that last series, or through that last game. But it will be the Varus taken off the table by DFM. V3 Esports looking at the Ornn right off the bat. Most likely will be locked in, and now DFM will have kind of to show a bit here. They can go for some flex options that are still on the table, but I would almost like to see for DFM just a hard lock on an Aphelios here and maybe a support option. Trundle, of course, is still an option there. I kind of disagree with it on a B1 pickup here. Reason being, or excuse me, an R1 pickup. Reason being that, yes, you know you're going to pick it into the Ornn. You can pass it over to the R3 pickup to have some more priority picks drafted on this side. And as I say that, the Aphelios does come out, so DFM playing to what has worked for them in the past. V3 now has kind of their decision to make. You can draft Kalista here if you want to go down, if you want to have a repeat performance. Can you bully out the Aphelios as hard as you did? Or can you have the same kind of success against an Aphelios now? It's a little bit weaker early, and you don't have to deal with as much poke, so it's an opportunity there. But they will draft up their jungler. Rek'Sai going to be picked up here. Early game jungler needs to get out onto the map early. Is the rest of the comp going to follow suit? It isn't entirely uncommon for a lot of the LJL teams to sort of draft an early game jungler that ends up being sacrificed to low econ later. But Galio going to be locked in by V3 Esports. And this is a little bit interesting, as the Galio is somewhat of a flex pick, but it does kind of force DFM. It highlights two bans immediately in my mind. It highlights a Senna ban, and it highlights a Kalista ban right off the bat. So V3 can opt into a misfortune if they want to choose that and lock it in. But they kind of have their pick of ADs here, where we have seen Galio run alongside a fasting Senna, and V3 have played that before. But also, Kalista, of course, a great enabler for the Galio taunt. But it looks like Sindri going to be taken off the table immediately here. Helps protect Saros a little bit in that mid lane. Is a fair matchup into the Ziggs. A lot easier for Sindri to kind of assert herself in that lane. And it's a little bit of a read that the Galio will be going into the support position. V3 now, they can pinch away at the support pool, and it will be the Thresh that they ban away. One more defensive option to be taken off the table, most likely can take away a Braum if they want to preserve the ability of the Ornn ultimate. But possibly could also look at banning away a potential top lane pick if they want to make sure that the Ornn has a favorable matchup. Remains to be seen, but Notably, V3 has their pick of the litter when it comes to the AD pool. Can run fasting Senna if they want to, or can go for the Callista. The Misfortune also, realistically, while I talk about that as if it's the sort of third pick, the sort of odd-ended out, it is not a bad pick by any means. Archer did have a good Archer did put up good damage numbers with it. His positioning came into a little bit of question, but that doesn't discredit his ability on the champion. Gnar being looked at and locked in immediately by V3 or by DFM here. Is a okay matchup into Ornn. Does not have a whole lot of bully potential as Ornn eventually just stops taking damage from the Gnar, but can farm safely, can usually have a decent amount of lane control over him. V3 locking in the Misfortune here. Misfortune Yuumi, the run back for Archer and Reyna. It is going to be the Galio in the mid lane. When you look across V3's comp, once again, Archer's in the position to carry. They're giving him the platform to run it back. We'll see if he's able to pull that off, as Nautilus a great option to have a guaranteed engage on the side of DFM, something that they did lack in the last game. It will be Nautilus locked up for this bottom side. Archer, once again, will have to play carefully in that bottom lane. Utapon on Aphelios. Aphelios may not be the strongest early game character, but Nautilus, of course, has a lot of lockup potential. So the onus will be on Archer to dodge out, or Gang to make something happen in this bot lane. Meanwhile, Boogie will have somewhat of the same position, where he needs to get out early, start making some things happen. If he does get on to Ziggs in the mid lane, gets that knock up, the CC chain that follows from a Galio, you have the knock up into W, can also begin to hurt on that mid lane, and then enables the Galio to look for roam plays with the R around the map. As we load in here for game 3, kind of feels like DFM are returning a little bit to tried and true. This is how they got a decent number of their wins throughout the lighter end of the split in general, but especially during their series against Sengoku. This is what they were looking at as far as comp. The Aphelios was hotly contested by DFM. And showing priority over to it gives me a bit of faith in their ability just to play what they know, and hopefully that comfort pick will give them some of the confidence back after what felt like a pretty dominant showing by V3 in the last series, or in the last game, excuse me.
ただそれにしたってそのゲージの管理ですよねが少し難しくて、そのあたりがどうなのかと。その航空のプレッシャーこそないものの、終わったタイミングで
Excuse me, one moment, I did not turn my fan off, and I've only just noticed.
やはりどうしても苦しいものがあるというところが挙げられますから、エビ選手のオールインのタイミング一発で決めないといけないというところはかなり難しいと思いますね。うまくいかなかった部分と。
Apologies for the bit of noise pollution there, but we return once more.
そうですね。でなければピックしないはずですから、かなり重要な試合にもなってます。このゲーム3、勝利すれば先に先行してファイナル進出へ王手かけられるわけですから。
And as we kind of load in here, the other thing I do notice about the comp that V3 is kind of running is I'm hoping it pays off for them, because they're putting a lot of trust back into Archer. And this time they're even opting into drafting a Galio, which offers a little bit of extra peel for the MF. And that's a good sign for V3 saying, Archer, we know you made, like, if Archer's recognizing that he made mistakes, and in the locker room talk, they're mentioning that, okay, we can clean this up, Archer says he's going to play better, we're going to trust him, we're going to put him back in this carry position and look to enable him. I like to see that from V3 Esports as a team, because it says to me that they not only trust him to play better, but they trust him to be the carry that they set him up to be. For V3's confidence, I do hope that ends up paying off for them. But if DFM are able to shake that confidence and they end up taking the series, breaking into that sort of psychological aspect could be very beneficial for DFM moving forward, and could possibly start to wither away at the momentum that V3 have coming into this game.
それではもう間もなくゲームスタートです。さあ始まりました LJL2020 スプリングスプリットプレーオフラウンド3ゲーム3デトネーションフォーカスミー vs V3 スポーツスタートです。まずデトネーションフォーカスミー固まって
Alright, and loading up here into the rift. Fairly traditional runes all the way around. Notably so is actually Boogie in this one is opting for Conquer instead of the Hail of Blades, as Archer is going to be able to get out of that one. Don't believe he got spotted. Archer needs to keep running there, as he did see DFM, so they will know that they invaded on that side. Boda is going to get at, excuse me. Is that Boogie opting into the Conqueror on the Rek'Sai. Hail of Blades does offer a little bit more of that early game damage, helps kind of burst out targets like Saros, like Utapon, who are these squishier members. It gets you a little bit more upfront damage. With the Conqueror, Boogie can kind of frontline a little bit easier, can kind of stay in and brawl, and what it tells me is that they want to try and look to keep Steel busy by sending Boogie onto him or having him be a nuisance to the bot lane. They want to keep both of those options open, and the Conqueror, I believe, in my eyes, helps blend towards that style a bit. An early Q onto Gang there forces out the shield. As Evi and Paz will enjoy what they've been enjoying for most of the series. It's just a farming side up top, as Gang wandering onto Reyna there. We'll just find a free auto, as Reyna will get a couple autos in, but no Spell Thieves does have the Relic Shield to get some CC back into him, as Archer's going to face check into Steel, is still level 1. Can't exactly contest Steel, but taking a lot of damage. The exhaust is in. They're not going to be able to finish as Gang rotates back around here. Reyna burning the exhaust. If he did have Ignite, that was actually a great play, but one or the other had to give there, and you do have to be careful going level 1 against a Trundle, as good dredge line there from Gang will hook him up, and a good Q from Utapon will get a little extra damage tacked on there. And the unfortunate part for Reyna going for the Relic Shield instead of opting for the Spell Thieves is he does have lower mana regen, which means he will not have the same amount of heals coming through to Reyna. We'll still have the AP, which is nice, as Ace going to E out of that one. Good pillar to knock him back up, but the taunt is good. W from Saros will force the flash out from Ace, but Summoner spell burned, as Ace has to be used to that by now, as many a times has had that burn for him, but Boogie goes in onto Steel here, forces a flash away, flash to follow, E-Bite is good! And Boogie, or excuse me, Saros has no mana now. Boogie might be able to dog him all the way down, forcing the flash out, but now gang flashing of his own. W's forward, but Archer going to be eventually getting out of that one. Barrier and flash forced to be used there. Gang burning both of his sums for the misfortunes, but Yutapon holding on to his for now. And a little bit of rapid fire action coming out from both sides there. A great find from Boogie to look over the wall, wait for Steel to try and back out, get the kill there, and almost end up getting one on a Saros, but with both mid laners flashless now, you can expect the junglers to be looking back towards that position, but as it stands right now, Steel wants to look at this bot lane, seeing a low health Archer, trying to bide his time and seeing if he can stay near the wave, but is becoming risky. He did see Steel clearing the ward, so shouldn't have been walking up here at all. He will get hooked up and knocked down. Archer being just a bit greedy there. Had no business staying there while Steel was whacking away at the ward on the top end there. Ends up going down for it. And a little bit of lack of respect coming out from Archer is not what you want to see early on in this series. Now, for the rest of this sort of early dragon phase where Boogie wants to be looking at that, Steel also wouldn't mind getting in on that action, but both of them would realistically be forced to kind of solo it in any scenario where they don't have a good gank opportunity. But Boogie standing on a ward here will not exactly have a good gank opportunity as he wanders towards this bottom side here. Steel pathing back towards this dragon. Make sure that Boogie doesn't start it up anytime soon. Both junglers kind of know that they're looking for a sneaky Drake to try and get away with, as Boogie might be going on to Steel here. Would catch him out in the jungle and has an opportunity. Goes over the wall here. Good smite from Steel to make sure he gets that one. The ultimate from Ace will come in, but the pillar actually kind of keeps Boogie locked up against the wall there. Will give Steel safety. Good Q from Reyna to try and keep Gang out of engage range, but Archer once again is walking up without his summoner spells, and it feels like Archer for the most part is just being a bit too ambitious with these. Call of the Forge God comes in, but Paz is not able to get the knockback into. Boogie will be healed up, so we'll be able to get out of that one. Ace is all in onto Steel here, but does not have time to finish. No Ignite to burn him down, and this is V3 losing everything very quickly on this one, as they were going to lose 4 members in total. Looks like it's going to be 5 as well, as Reyna has no real area to run to. A bit of a throw from V3 Esports, and as I said it, you know, they put the onus on Archer to carry. They try and say that they're willing to trust him, but once again, Archer is just wandering up where he really shouldn't be. And it ends up not only killing him once, but now killing his entire team along with it. Archer is just playing in the face of Gang. I don't know if he expected to dodge it, if he thought he had flash up, but it did not feel like the correct play. And then in just trying to salvage anything from this play, all of V3 end up losing their lives here. Ornn being the only one who was able to escape in the end. Or no, Ornn did end up going down as well. It was just a terrible show from the side of V3 Esports, is now with level 6s in. Archer's just going to go down again for free, and this is looking rough for V3 Esports, to put it lightly. And once again, Ace is going to get engaged on here. Ultimate down, and Pillar will slow him up. They will not actually be able to finish, as Boogie's here in time for a counter gank, but there have been better days for the side of V3 Esports, as it just feels like everything that could have gone wrong for V3 did. And of course, I don't want to pin too much of the blame on Archer as this gold graph. Udapon is dwarfing the gold of Archer in this game, almost double it in this series, as Reyna's just doing what he can to clear out vision. And this kind of a game is... This is DFM's game to lose, as it were, as this is one of the earliest 4K gold leads you could possibly see on the side of DFM. Paz will use Call of the Forge God just to clear out the wave, expecting a dive to be coming in. Evi has Mega Gnar, so he can look to tank here. Looks like they will back away for now, and smartly so, as you're in the leading position. The last thing you need is for a dive on an Ornn to go terribly wrong and start throwing from that position. 5-0-2 is Udapon already. And of course, it won't mean much very early on, as he will still need time to get towards his items. But DFM in the driver's seat firmly can take all the time in the world. They grab themselves up in a Rift Herald as well. Most likely going to start putting that bot to knock down that last turret HP, and Steel is just making a beeline straight for it. At V3 Esports, what are you really to do in this scenario? There is a Trundle coming down, has Rift Herald. With the turret that low HP, there is not a whole lot of options left available to them. Seros are also coming down here to see a W from Seros at this point. Also might just knock out the turret, as he's looking over the wall here for an opportunity, and there it goes. Flash forward from Gang, ends up hitting the pillar, so nothing good there. But the teleport coming in from Ace is going to be in the middle of a lot of them. A good taunt. The bullet time will ring true onto Steel. No! He'll barely live in the end. Boogie will get the kill onto Gang, as he didn't have anywhere really to go, but Udapon training the kill right back. Q narrowly avoiding Ace there will mean that there's no route to be had, but Evi is here. Flash R, 2 men into the wall. Will they be able to get in time to capitalize? The pillar not opting them to the right side. Will mean they get away for now. Steel still does have Rift Herald, but it looks like he's going to save it for a rainy day, as the rest of DFM will back off for now. Losing Gang there, of course, a little bit unfortunate, but honestly, not the worst situation in the world. So Gang goes for the flash engage, is not able to find anything, uses the depth charge just to try and buy themselves some space. The W from Ace does so much there, and ends up actually almost getting 2, but a great Moonlight Vigil to find Boogie there. If the Q had landed, they actually would have been able to root up Ace and get a little bit more, but Flash goes in from Evi. Doesn't quite keep them locked up long enough. They end up getting out on that account, but from this position, Rift Herald spawned. They will get a couple turret plates off this mid turret, but it'll immediately go down. Ocean Drake spawned up. Can't even really use the Rift Herald for enough pressure to take it. But we'll give them the space as they shove in the next wave and look immediately over to that Drake. As it seems right now, DFM are somewhat running back the blue. Perhaps it's the blue side performance, but V3 showing a dominant game too. DFM seem to be... It's hard to even say that DFM are taking serious or were making expert plays or anything. Of course they were playing well, they are DFM, but it really just came down to Archer walking around where he shouldn't, and just his whole team ends up dragged into just some botched plays early on that might spell an early end to this game. V3 are going to look for something onto Evi here, not very close to Mega, so they do have a window of opportunity. Call, the Forge God comes in, the knockup will land, Boogie will be there with the second one, as the taunt comes in, and Evi had a lot of time spent in CC. With not a lot to do about that one, Evi will go down. And that is a good kill to find if you are V3. But it feels just like a drop in the well at this point, as DFM are on a 6k gold lead, 2 turrets, 2 drakes, and soon to be 2 Rift Heralds as the pings come out to start up around it. Udapon is almost a full item of gold ahead of Archer, and Aphelios is the last of the carries you want to see that far ahead. No rune ends yet, but Saros will put a good punch into this turret in the meantime. While DFM will scour away the jungle before looking towards the Rift Herald. Turret goes down, and DFM can immediately turn over to the Rift Herald. While V3 Esports are in no position to contest. First item really only being completed on a couple members of V3 here. DFM are routing Paz here. Is a tanky member, but that is a lot of people between him and safety, and DFM catch Paz out. Wandering really where he shouldn't have been, so V3 are kind of overestimating their bounds. You knew the entire team was up there. They had just taken the Rift Herald. Might have thought that they took it back immediately after, but either way, DFM going to knock down an early tier 1 turret here. And with Rift Herald still up, they can utilize that to knock down the rest of mid lane. And the map is very open for the side of DFM. Cloud Soul, of course, on the docket for this one. Not exactly... Not too many users on the side of DF. Actually, really only Trundle is an okay user of the Cloud Soul in this one. Some fringe scenarios where Saros might be able to get some value out of it, but ultimately not one that they benefit too heavily from, but really is just sort of a stepping stone along the way to getting towards these end game objectives. Wandering around the jungle here, putting up a lot of deep vision, which really they can afford to at this point, with given the position that they're in. 30 seconds to the dragon spawn. DFM are a little bit too early to this one, but understandably so. A little bit eager to get through this game as quick as possible. 戦えるというところで、やはり継続してエビ選手を狙っていくというのが妥当だと思いますね。
そのエビは現在トップレーン。ブギが寄ってはいますが、ワードに移った。エビはもうかなり警戒して引いています。この動きでとにかくゴールドをできるだけ集めていくというところで。For DFM, Evi on the top side with teleport available, so
They can pressure onto this bottom side. It looks like that will be the call. Ace getting stunted by the pillar there. Has ultimate to try and get out. Just used Aftershock, but will flash away in the end. The rest of DFM fighting on the little bit of ground they have between the rest of their team. Gang going very low, but flashing back out. Udapon will pick up one. He will be able to pick up a second one. Now on to Ace. Archer and Reyna will be able to back away towards the other end. But what are they salvaging other than their lives? This game is a little bit of a... would be a Cinderella story if V3 were able to somehow pull this game back. But as it stands right now, DFM are just well and far ahead. It's never a good feeling to see an Aphelios reaching his core items, but it's an even worse feeling to see him reaching them a full item ahead of your AD carry in this one. Watch this one more time on the top end of this fight. Bullet time goes in, the ultimate comes back to deal a large chunk of damage. Boogie looks for something here just to try and trade it back, but you can just see how hard it is to chase down an Aphelios who has turrets available to him. And then at this point, while Ace is just trying to regroup with his team, there are a few places for him to go. And now, after the wake of this one Cloud Drake picked up, soul point to DFM's name. No other Drake spawning for a little bit, but at this point DFM can honestly look at the Baron as a realistic option. 3 items. That is a 2-item advantage on Udapon there, as they can just take any engage that they want. Ace will get a taunt there, try and see if he can buy his team some time, as he's going very low. Will eventually get out of that one. No ultimates even used. Steel being the only one who uses a subjugate there. But where does he really have to run? They are totally fine expending a few ultimates, as now they look towards the Baron. Teleport coming in. That is Ace going to be coming in at the blue buff there. DFM positioned around the Baron. They're waiting to see if V3 overstep in any regards. Cero's trying to zone out for now, trying to be as annoying as possible. They will see Steel off there, but now they have to start worrying about whether they started it up, and DFM, not wanting to take the damage from starting up the Baron, have kind of delayed it for now. Baron looking at them like, what's it gonna be, guys? Is it, are we fighting? Are we not fighting? And that will be the call. DFM will start up the Baron here. Gang on the front lines there will lock up Ace. Going very low, but the bullet time is just not enough damage. Final chapter doesn't seem to matter at all, as DFM pick up 2. They are burning down this Baron now. They are looking to set a record pace for this playoff series. V3 desperately trying to knock down a mid lane turret while they have some free time. Will be able to take that one, but now DFM, Baron in tow, and 2 minutes to Cloud Drake's name. This is where they need to start knocking down the last of these turrets, possibly looking for a game end if they're able to find it. You can see Ace, little choice but to walk forward here. Ends up eating a ton of damage, locked up for just too long. You could see the bullet time seems to mean nothing to the side of DFM. With only 1 item to Archer's name. Not much to be done about this one if you are V3 Esports, currently suffering a 10k gold differential. And while earlier, Evi might find himself in a little bit of trouble, but able to dodge out on that one. Has Black Cleaver to help kind of, use that extra movement speed to get around here. What I was going to say is, earlier in the first game, we had criticized DFM slightly for playing too aggressively when they didn't need to. They were in a winning position, and then they were playing too much to look for fights when their comp didn't really want the fights, and they honestly didn't even need to look for them. At this point, however, DFM are laughably ahead right now. They have a good team fighting comp with this Aphelios. They can march right into the mid lane, and Archer is just once again getting locked up by Gang. Seros doing his best to capitalize off of that one. Healed up lots by Reyna. But Gang can just stand there in front line for as long as he wants. Paz is in no position to help his team as DFM are just walking forward into the lines of V3 Esports. With Baron still a minute on, this will be the end of the game as Seros tries to pick up a cat here. Reyna will be able to get to safety there as this game is all she wrote all too soon, and a bit of a wash on the side of DFM as they grab themselves up game 2 here, 2-1 in this series, and ultimately not much you can really say about that one, as whether it be online or whatever you would like to call it, Archer, that was just not your game, and V3 Esports as a whole was just not a little bit of sleep at the wheel on that one. Honestly, in the position they were in, that felt like a lot of the spring split games that we have seen from DFM in the past, where they were in such a dominant position that Soul didn't even matter. I believe during regular season, DFM only acquired some 3 or 4 souls. I can pull up the stat here for you. Let me double check. Yeah, DFM picked up 4 souls throughout the spring split. 1 of them being Ocean and the other 3 being Cloud souls, which were really, in the games that they picked them up, just kind of, I guess we'll take it. We're in such a dominating position, we're really just waiting for Baron and Elder so that we can end the game. And in the games that they didn't pick up Soul, it was because of games like this. They were just in such a dominating position, they were so laughably far ahead that waiting for Soul was really more of a detriment than it was beneficial. So, a game like that, swift to end, as just a lot of these early plays did not go V3's ways, and in a game like that where DFM were just all working, were just firing on every cylinder, getting every kill, and Yutapon was just laughably far ahead. I sound like a broken record, but really what else is there to talk about in a series like this? Well, we'll have to see. Now, what there is to talk about is what I did mention earlier is, in game 1, they lost because they put Archer in a carry position by himself. And they put him in that position, they put Reyna on Yuumi, which puts that much more onus of execution onto Archer. And he just is not able to handle the pressure, it seems. Which is somewhat understandable, and you can forgive that to some extent. You're in playoffs. This is your tournament life on the line. Everything is riding on you because you are the only carry on your side of the team. Great. In game 1, it was at least close, but his mistakes were his team's undoing. In this game, where they give him a second chance, they put him in the carry position once more, and they say, put your carry pants on, we'll see what you can do. Not only does it come back to bite them, it bites them hard and fast. And that is not what you want to see from a game like this. So, going forward for V3 Esports, you either need to figure out how to get Archer dialed in, or you cannot keep putting him in these positions where he needs to be the carry. And it almost feels like, in part, putting Reina on Yumi feels to almost be a waste of Reina's potential. Game 2 was a Reina highlight reel throughout most of the game, so hopefully not going to see them kind of run this Reina Yumi back, because Archer clearly can't handle it in this kind of a series. We need something to alleviate that mental pressure that Archer's putting on himself. Going to take another quick break here, going to go refill my water. Don't go anywhere. Thank you again for everyone who's dropping by for the stream and dropping follows here. For those people, of course, once again, letting you guys know, I will be back again tomorrow for playoff finals. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, as I will tweet when I upload, when I go live, and when I upload all of these matches. So keep an eye out for that one if you guys are interested. For now, though, enjoy a little bit of the break, and I'll see you all again in short time.
Energy.